listening. Jose, keep that belt listening. McGregor's coming for you. He'll do you in 2. 1 minute, McGregor won on him.
In the world of combat sports, there are champions, legends, great fighters. And then there was Conor freaking McGregor. This Irish fighter not only dominated the octagon, he took the UFC to levels no one thought possible. We're not talking about just a fighter. We're talking about a global phenomenon who blended charisma, controversy, and brutal talent to become a freaking icon. Conor didn't limit himself to mixed martial arts. With his explosive personality, his bold tongue, and his ability to back up every word with action, he broke cultural barriers, filled stadiums, and turned every fight into a must-see event. But then, what happened to Conor? By now you'll realise that it wasn't all plain sailing. Along the way, McGregor also fell, and his falls were as resounding as his victories. Today we will explore the lights and shadows of a man who redefined what it means to be a professional fighter.
Da-da-da-da-da! It's the motherfucking D-O-double-G!
Before becoming the Notorious, McGregor was a young man with big dreams and little money. As a child, he decided to take up boxing as a way to defend himself against bullies. But his life improved when he met John Kavanagh, who was the first Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt in Ireland. And from that moment on, he would be the Irishman's trainer. Although Conor spent hours training in the gym, he hung out with bad company, was a bit messy, and usually got lost when it was time to pay his bills. For a long time, he thought that with his boxing skills alone, he could defeat anyone who got in his way. He wasn't interested in learning grappling, so he had to learn the hard way. In 2008, he had his first fight as a professional MMA fighter. He faced Gary Morris at lightweight, and thanks to his boxing skills, he managed to knock him out with a KO in the second round. After 2 months, in his second fight, Conor also manages to end Mo Taylor's dreams. But very soon, the legendary Conor McGregor meets defeat when he faces an expert grappler, Artemji Sitnikov, who manages to submit him within the first 69 seconds of the first fight. This was something embarrassing for McGregor, because for this third fight, he invited friends and family to enjoy the show, but he was defeated by a Sambo specialist. He was so disappointed that his parents were concerned about his state of mind and called the coach for help. After a motivational talk, Conor decided to get out of bad company and return to training, but he still didn't want to learn grappling. He just relied on his boxing skills. He regained his confidence and managed to come out victorious in a couple of fights. Until 2010, when he met Joe Duffy, who he thought would be just another win.
At this level, I feel I can go out and do anything. I can feel I can fight any way I want. At the moment, I've been really focusing on my wrestling and my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that's coming along leaps and bounds. My opponent's name is Joseph Duffy. He's unbeaten. I think he's top 10 European undefeated in Sherdog, and he's number 2. So we'll see about that. They can expect to see me pushing the pace, him with his back against the cage, looking for a way out, and then I'll finish him. I have power in my hands for a lightweight. I'm a big lightweight. I'm just trouble for anyone. Before the fight, I'm as calm as you can be, you know. I might have nerves that day, but as soon as I start warming up, that's it. It's all me. I'm ready to go.
But once again, Conor McGregor is submitted on the canvas. This time he was defeated after 38 seconds, and it was thanks to a perfect arm triangle. But this second defeat did not bring him down mentally. On the contrary, it gives him the boost he needed to learn the different fighting styles specialised in grappling. For the next few fights, we have a furious Irish machine with a much more complete fighting style who didn't just want to win. Conor wanted to blow away all the competition. McGregor wanted to give the whole division what it deserved, and at the same time, show who's the boss. After his second defeat in November 2010, he had 6 consecutive victories by KO, several of them being defeated in the first round. And he even managed to defeat Paddy Doherty with only 4 embarrassing seconds. Nobody could stop this fighter, who destroyed his opponents in the years to come. Something important that identified Conor is that before the fight started, he was already playing with his opponent's mind. He was always making comments to mentally defeat his opponents, and it was his slippery tongue and explosive personality that put him in everyone's eyes.
Shut your mouth, mate.
His fight against Ivan Bushinger was a definitive punch on the table, as he manages to knock him down with an impressive left hook at 3 minutes and 40 seconds of the first round. Winning the lightweight championship and becoming champion of 2 categories, in Cage Warriors Fighting Championship. This majestic KO had gone viral. By 2013, the UFC noticed that this bastard was filling the stadiums and decided to knock on his door. His debut marked the beginning of something spectacular. This first fight was with Marcus Brimage, who was sent to no man's land in the first minute of the first round. This was an incredible way to introduce himself to a wider audience who were becoming more and more infected with his crazy behaviour. Before this fight, he barely had enough money to survive. He was financially dependent on his girlfriend, Dee Devlin, who drove him around in her old car, but it was at this point in his career that he started to make some real money. That night, he went home with $76,000, $16,000 for the fight, and $60,000 for the KO of the night.
Thank you very much. Dana! 60 G's, baby!
Little by little, the world of MMA was becoming more and more popular all over the world due to its amazing performances. On the one hand, there were people who wanted to see who would be his first victim. But on the other hand, there were people who just wanted to see someone shut his big mouth. Max Holloway was the next to enjoy some quality time inside a cage with Conor McGregor. And despite surviving the entire fight without being knocked out, Max loses by unanimous decision, and Conor comes out of the fight with a knee injury. By 2015, he already had 18 wins and only 2 losses as a professional. 6 of these wins inside the UFC. No one could control him. And next on the list of the good guys was Brazilian Jose Aldo, a champion who had been undefeated for 10 years and was considered one of the best in the UFC. But Conor, true to his habit of provoking his opponents, made it his mission to destroy him psychologically. He decided to insult the Brazilian every chance he got. Really, every chance he got. He even grabbed his championship belt from him and mocked him several times.
Otario, Otario! Otario, Otario! You know what that means? Pussy.
After several months of being harassed by Conor, we could see how annoyed Aldo was. But unfortunately, these 10 years of being unbeaten went down in history in just 13 seconds, when Conor managed to knock out Aldo with a perfect counterpunch, taking the featherweight title and writing his name in the history books. No one could believe how a champion that no one could defeat was finished in such a short time, who once he regained consciousness had no choice but to cry about what happened. After this fight, a new chapter in McGregor's life begins. The double champ. The 2 fights against Nate Diaz are another iconic chapter in his story. The first was a surprise. Diaz submitted McGregor, breaking his aura of invincibility. But in the rematch, Conor showed he could adjust, win and continue his legacy.
Surprise, surprise, motherfucker! The king is back!
In 2016, he challenged Eddie Alvarez for the lightweight title. And what do you think? The bastard won again, becoming the first fighter in UFC history to hold 2 belts simultaneously. At the time, the Irishman wasn't just a champion. He was a phenomenon who had transformed the sport. He took over the game and changed the rules forever. By 2017, he decides to look for something different from what he already knew. And that's when he faces undefeated fighter Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match.
When I count to 3, I want this entire arena to scream, the Mayweathers! 1, 2, 3, the Mayweathers!
Although Conor lost, the event generated millions of dollars thanks to the controversies of both fighters. This positioned the Irishman as one of the most profitable names in sports history. He didn't just fight like a champion, he lived like one. His custom-made suits, million-dollar watches, luxury cars and private jet are proof of that. McGregor made luxury an essential part of his brand. And thanks to this, he doesn't just rely on fights to make money. He was a bloody businessman who knew how to capitalise on every move. Over the years, he would reach the top of the top. But how is it that there seems to be nothing left of this character? In 2018, he faced Khabib Nurmagomedov in one of the most anticipated fights in history, and where McGregor unfortunately adds one more defeat, this time losing by submission. But what followed afterwards was even more chaotic, a massive fight between both teams that left the UFC in the media spotlight. In 2021, McGregor returned to face Dustin Poirier twice. He lost both fights, the second in a dramatic way when he broke his leg. These defeats raised questions about whether the Notorious still had what it took to compete at the highest level in a category as merciless as the UFC. One thing is for sure, McGregor is a force that cannot be ignored. He changed the UFC game and took it to levels no one had ever imagined. His victories, defeats, and his madness have made him a legend. Some people want to see him fight again, and they want to put him in a cage with Ilia Topuria. But sadly, we see how he has lost his way. The physical changes in his face are evident. And many say that due to substance abuse, it is already difficult for him to even form sentences. And you, what do you think of the Notorious? Is he a mad genius or just a chatterbox who ran out of ambition? Let me know what you think in the comments. Remember that you too can change the rules of the game, but only if you stay focused and never stop being kinda ambitious. Hello! Thanks for staying until the end of this video. If you liked it, do not forget to hit the like button. This will help with the growth of this new channel. And of course, be part of this ambitious community. Please do not forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.
He didn't come here to take part. He came here to take over.